Oneke, you call me say what?
Drunken man, let me go. I do it. I still go school. I never even qualify yet.
Quiet!
You only qualify when you need. Now for open your
Easy.
As we approach the International Women's Day, I want to ask you a question. Are we truly celebrating women? Or are we celebrating them while still expecting them to remain silent within systems that control them? Today, I want to talk about a Cameroonian film, Virgin Blade, a movie that does not just entertain. It confronts us with uncomfortable questions about culture, power, and the expectations placed on women in many of our communities. And trust me, this one deserves a conversation. Virgin Blade. Let's do a movie review together. Let's talk a little bit about the plot of the movie, okay? Virgin Blade centers around a young woman navigating a deeply traditional environment where expectations, reputation, and purity carry enormous weight. As events unfold, we see how cultural practices, authority figures, and the community pressure shape her choices and ultimately her life. Without revealing too much, because I don't want to spoil this, the movie explores what happens when personal autonomy clashes with deeply rooted beliefs, and it raises a very uncomfortable question: who truly benefits from certain traditions? Yeah, very, very important question. Let's look at the theme. Okay, let's do the theme of the movie, then again, just some commentary on certain aspects of the movie. So, this is where the film begins to become more than just a story. When we start looking at things like tradition versus control, the film challenges us to examine whether certain cultural practices are truly about preserving heritage or maintaining control. In many African communities, questioning tradition is often seen as disrespectful. But Virgin Blade asks an important question: should everything we inherit automatically be preserved without reflection? As we prepare to celebrate International Women's Day, it's worth asking ourselves whether empowerment also means having the freedom to question systems that limit women's autonomy. And if we look a little bit at the gender expectations, right? The expectations from women. And in this movie, Virgin Blade, the burden placed on women is very, very heavy. We're looking at purity, obedience, silence, reputation. All of these things are expected from the women. But the question becomes, where is the accountability on the other side? The double standard portrayed, it feels very familiar, right? There's a lot of double standards in the movie, and it truly feels familiar. And that's what makes this film in general very powerful. It reflects realities that many women still navigate today. And celebrating the International Day of the Woman should not only be about appreciation, it should also be about confronting the societal expectations that restrict the woman's freedom, and put it in that way. Okay. And it's not only about rappers. There is more to this than a post of Happy Women's Day or a bottle of Booster. Hmm? And so let's look at the community silence, right? Because another powerful theme that we see in Virgin Blade is community silence. People see, people know, people whisper, but then very few people speak. They know that these things are not, they know that the children are crying, some of them are scared, but nobody says anything, right? And this ties into a larger issue that many of us have observed in our community, right? Things like the societal status protect wrongdoing, does influence silence truth. We've had these conversations on this platform. And so Virgin Blade subtly exposes how communities sometimes protect systems instead of protecting the people. And if the International Women's Day is truly about progress, then these are exactly the conversations that we should be having. Going back to the movie, let's look at the acting and the performance. Hmm? The lead actress in this movie, Oneke, she carries a significant emotional weight throughout the film. Her performance reflects the internal struggle between personal desires and societal expectations. You can see her fear, the pressure, the confusion that many individuals feel when caught between culture and personal freedom. The supporting cast also plays an important role in portraying the different forces in a community. Elders, authority figures, peers, is representing different layers of influence and expectation. We even have those drunkards that you probably grew up seeing them in your communities and you still see them today. And while there are moments where acting may feel slightly dramatic, the emotional aspect is quite compelling, right? The emotions is very compelling, even though the drama to a certain extent was a little bit harsh, but it tells the story. If you want to look at the production and the cinematography, the film does a great job capturing the cultural environment throughout its visuals. The wardrobe, setting, traditional atmosphere help ground the story in a recognizable cultural scene. All right, now let's talk about sound because sound significantly influences how a story is experienced. In Virgin Blade, the background music plays an important role in shaping the emotional tone of the film. During moments of tension or emotional conflict, the music helps amplify us through the story. However, there are moments where the audio balance could be stronger, particularly with dialogue clarity. Okay, but again, generally the sound was amazing, and I'm gonna play a little bit of it in the background. Okay, that said, the sound still contributes meaningfully to the overall storytelling by reinforcing the emotional weight of the narrative. Amazing song. Kudos to you, Mr. Leo. That was your voice. Again, was this a Hollywood level production? No, but it effectively communicates the message, the emotional depth of the story. And sometimes the strength of a story matters more than the technical polish. And here, to me, is just what captured me. Forget the polish, but the emotional message made a lot of sense. Let's talk about my personal observation. Okay, watching Virgin Blade so close to International Women's Day made me reflect on what it truly means to celebrate women. It is simply or let's put it this way, is it simply about kind words and social media posts and rappers, as I said earlier on, or is it about creating societies where women have the freedom to question, to speak, and to live without fear of judgment or control? This film, I must say, is not anti-culture. It is anti-abuse of culture. And that distinction is extremely important, one that I must highlight. Okay. So, what else about the movie can we talk about? Is it time for me to give my final verdict? Ta-da! Drum roll. What is my final verdict? I would categorize Virgin Blade as a watch. You need to watch it. But hey, watch it with discussion because after watching this movie, I had a lot of questions. Right? This is not a type of movie you simply watch and move from. It is a film that invites conversation and reflection. Mhm. So, in that case, my rating for this movie will be a 7.5 out of 10, particularly for its relevance and the important conversations it encourages, right? And just to think that I watched it around the Women's Day like happenings, it makes it very relevant. So I give it a 7 out of 10. All right. So as we do celebrate Women's Day, shout out to you all women. Woman Day. I want to hear from you. Do you think that some traditions need to evolve? Does community status sometimes shield people from accountability? And are we truly empowering women? Or are we sometimes celebrating them symbolically while maintaining systems that limit them? Share your thoughts in the comment section. I'm dying to read them, okay? Let's have an honest, respectful conversation because these are conversations that we need to have. And as we all know, progress begins where silence ends. So that is why I encourage you to speak, right? Let's have conversations about these things. Now, this is a movie that has given me insights on something that I'm particularly not very familiar with. If you're familiar with things like breast ironing and female genital mutilation, I truly want to hear your thoughts on this movie. These are movies that show us what Cameroon is. These are movies that show us, that portray the Cameroonian culture. Maybe cultures that we had before and we no longer have, some of the cultures that have been abandoned, right? But then, don't you want to know? Don't you want to know? So I will ask this question to the Cameroonian film industry. Where are all of these movies? This one intrigued me, which means that there's probably more of such movies, maybe in your hard drives or maybe in your heads, dear script writers. Please, we want to see these movies. We want to see more movies about the Cameroonian culture, about some of the things that maybe were done in the past. Because watching a film like this to me is not only entertainment, right? It is also education. So it's just important that we see more of these things. I'm looking forward to them. I hunger for more Cameroonian based movies. Not saying that all the other scripts about social life and stuff, yes, there is a place for that. But then culture is one of those things that just intrigues me. And so I'm dying, dear movie producers and script writers. Yes, we are dying to see more movies like Virgin Blade. I know we have great talent out there. So please bring out these movies. Go to your hard drives, pull them out. We understand that distribution is a problem in Cameroon, but YouTube is here to solve that problem for us. Not completely, I must say, but it is a starting point. So please bring those movies. We want to watch them. And Cameroonians, how can we encourage these script writers and production houses to bring these movies to us? Is by watching their movies on YouTube, by sharing them. Because that is how they get the numbers. And that is how they might be able to make up some of the money that they spent on the movie. Because truth be told, it's not the cheapest business to be in ever. Considering that you're in a country like Cameroon where sponsorships, things like that are not very common. So please, I call on you Cameroonians, find these movies on YouTube, watch them, react to them, put your comments, share your thoughts. Because as I say, a movie like Virgin Blade is a conversation starter. You're going to learn something that you never knew before. So please, watch that movie. I'm adding the link to the movie in the description of this video. So please, go watch it and come let me know what you think. It's Women's Day. It is the time where we get to know more about what it is like being a woman in the culture we were brought up in and in the culture that we're bringing up our children in. What has changed? What stayed? What do we think we can revamp? Question is for all of us, okay? So watch and let me know. Virgin Blade to the world. Thank you again for such a relevant, I must say, movie, especially during this time. Okay, stay blessed. And your one and only So Babes will be here waiting to read your comments. Love you guys. Bye.
Carry you go so we papa and mommy no to what and that's
All the same, you can see if it's sorry.
I ready for you.
No, it tell you say the come for here.
No matter what because me I prepare go. It just come out disappear for house.
When I define some person or when I pam some person.
Chai, you don't bad. Let me tell you.
Uncle, I'm not on disappear. Bye! Who won't take it?
Mend them.
You dey still talk say make the young girl them. They no yard their papa them.
me for the sleep with that other man picking them.
You go pay fine.
I be the only try for help them.